Hi everyone, I am Night Shifter and today we're gonna be covering every single practical rejump in Dragon Ball FighterZ that I know of, including some Sparking rejumps. Let's get into it. First of all, why should you learn rejumps? Well, rejumps add a lot of extra damage and more importantly corner carry to your combos, and those are often really important factors when it comes to letting your character's true potential shine through. For example, a character like 16 or S Broly doesn't actually do that much damage mid-screen without a rejump, but once you add a rejump in there, you just get like a fuck ton of damage, as you're going to see later on in the video. To showcase a quick example, I'm going to do a 5H route with and without the rejump. So without the rejump, we go about half screen. With the rejump, we go like 75–80% of the screen. Pretty big difference, and it also added a little more damage to that combo as well. Getting more corner carry and damage in your combos is pretty huge, especially for a character like Blueku here, who wants to get to the corner as quickly as possible, because that's where he gets his big damage loops from and all. And getting to preserve your assists while still having great corner carry is really good, because the more assists you have in the back, the better. Now to go over our first rejump, which we also showcased earlier, the JM rejump. Also referred to as the quote-unquote universal rejump, because while not every character can do it, a lot of them can. This is gonna be considered the basic rejump, in the sense that if you can do this rejump, you can do every other one in the game. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat that this is going to be pretty difficult to execute at first, and it might take like a lot of practice before you get it down. But it's a pretty huge stepping stone, as it's going to improve your overall execution, I believe, and just give you a lot of benefits in the long run. Now to show off the rejump again. And now to explain what the fuck I did there. What you need to do is go into 5H and then delay your super dash afterwards. This is going to be the most important part. If you do super dash immediately, you will see that it catches the opponent right as they bounce off the wall, and it catches them at the max height that it can. If you delay your super dash the right amount, it catches them at a lower height. The super dash needs to start right about after the opponent wall splats. So the opponent bounced off the wall, and then that's when the super dash started. That's the timing cue that most people use. Eventually the timing will be muscle memory for you. A silly little way that I came up with to practice the super dash timing was turning it into a little song, kinda like this. I'm gonna do a re-jump. So I only super dashed after I said jump, and then you can kinda improvise in the middle of whatever combo you're doing and just be like re-jump. It might look offbeat, but it's probably because the song is in sync with my actual button presses rather than the normals coming out. You can probably find a different timing cue for yourself, so go ahead and experiment. Maybe this will help you. After that delayed super dash, you no longer have to delay anything. Everything else is immediate, and you're going to need some quick fingers for the next part. Thankfully, you can practice this part by just doing a raw super dash against a grounded opponent like this. This is going to take you a million years to get down. Or at least it did for me, but hopefully you'll have better luck. What you need to do after your delayed super dash is an air dash JM. It has to be an air dash into JM, very important. And then after JM, you buffer a dash jump JL. If you do a normal jump, it will not work, because dash jumping is faster. It has to be a dash jump specifically. You do not have to wait until you touch the ground to do the dash jump. You can just do it immediately. You can just input it immediately after JM. It's what I do if you're gonna look at my virtual controller. So just air dash JM, dash jump JL. Good luck. And that is the JM rejump. After the 669 JL, you can end your combo however you'd like. Blueku has J.214M as a solo knockdown ender. Other characters may have other enders. Some actually don't, so if that's the case, you can kinda just use an assist and then Dragon Rush. If you can do this rejump now, you can do every other rejump that I'm about to showcase. So have fun. If you're gonna practice this rejump, I recommend doing it with Blueku here because the timing on his is a little bit more lenient than for others. Also, I'm going to leave a list of characters that can do this rejump in the description. Very important thing I should mention. Once you learn this rejump, you can take it a step further by just holding down Super Dash while you do it. I'm going to sneak in one more hit in there. Why is that? Because when you press Super Dash, you essentially press H and S together, as you can see on the virtual controller there. And in this game there's now a macro. When you hold S, every jump that you do becomes a super jump automatically. So then if you hold down Super Dash in the middle of your combo, every jump becomes a super jump, so doing a dash jump becomes a super dash jump, allowing you to jump higher than you could normally. So then you get a little bit of extra damage from that JL you can add in there, as well as a little more corner carry. It's worth knowing because it's not very difficult to do and it's just all positives. Go for it. Now we can go into character unique rejumps, from the ones I find easiest to the ones I find hardest. Starting off with Labcoat. All she needs to do is chew M, super dash, air dash, JLM, jump L. So just chew M into super dash, air dash, JLM. It needs to be an air dash, and you have to do JLM specifically and not JLL. Because if you do JLL, you'll get the hide autocorrect thing that you get from auto combos. But after you do air dash JLM, you do not need to dash jump, you just do a normal jump forward. Just a normal jump forward. This is the easiest rejump in the game in my opinion. I'm sure you can get it down. Interestingly enough though, Labcoat can do a side switch if she decides to dash jump. Just like that. You just need to like dash jump JLML and then do a slightly delayed jump cancel forward into JL. Only works if you dash jump, of course. Because you don't get enough momentum if you don't dash jump. So that's an interesting little thing she can do. She, of course, can also use the super jump macro to her advantage. And instead of just doing that, she can do something like this. By holding down super dash as you rejump. Another cool thing she can do, she can actually rejump into JM instead of JL. As you can see here. And it's actually optimal for her damage. She has to super jump though, because if she normal jumps, well... yeah, she doesn't get to combo. So just make sure to super jump for more optimal damage there. If you feel so inclined, or if you happen to hit your opponent with it, she can rejump off of 5H like that as well. There you have it. She of course needs to delay her super dash as well there, and she cannot rejump into JM if she does that, but still worth keeping in mind. Cool thing about her rejump is that she can even use it for things like vanish confirms. Like this. There you have it. She can do it at any time she lands a 2M. Moving on to 16, who also has a very easy rejump. Like mother, like son, I suppose. He basically just does the JM rejump, except instead of the whole dash jump JL thing, he just does 5M. So 5H into a delayed super dash, and then air dash JM, and then 5M. That's the whole thing. Despite how simple this rejump is, it actually has a bit of a drawback. Because the hitbox on 5M is smaller than you would think, you have to delay your super dash more against smaller characters. For example, that right there would have hit against the larger character, so you have to try and delay your super dash as much as possible against a smaller character like Krillin. This is why I would actually recommend that you lab this rejump against a small character, because then you'll be sure to land it whenever you need to. This rejump is an integral part of 16 as a character in this game, because without it he actually lacks damage and corner carry mid-screen. Be sure to learn it. Moving on to his j.LH rejump. This one has the same drawback as his 5H rejump, which makes the super dash timing harder on smaller characters, but that's essentially what you do. After j.LH, you time your super dash so that it comes out a little bit after you land, just a little bit after you touch the ground, and then you air dash JM and then 5M. While it's not exactly mandatory to know this rejump, it can be very useful as it allows him to get more optimal damage off his combos, and it also lets him confirm things like air-to-airs into a knockdown solo and meterless. Not many characters can do this. You get a lot of corner carry and damage for a freaking JL there. So if you have the time to spare, I would definitely recommend learning this too. Moving on to adult Gohan, or Growhan as I like to call him. His rejump is simple but kind of tricky in some aspects. There you have it. So after the 5H delayed super dash air dash JM thing that we've done until now, you have to 3H. And you'll have to figure out the timing for that, because if you try to do it too early, you'll just get 2H instead. You'll have to press it a little later than you think. And then after 3H, you have to do a super jump at JL. You have to manually super jump. You cannot hold super dash while doing this rejump, because super dash is H plus S, and you kinda need to press 3H. So that's a no can do. 3H and then super jump JL. Good luck. He also has another way of doing it, which I've found is not only easier but surprisingly more optimal as well. There it is. There are no delays in that combo whatsoever, not even the super dash is delayed. All you need to remember is to hold down 236L and time the 5L after it properly, and you still need to super jump after 3H, but that's about it. Have fun. Z-Broly has a way to rejump that might seem a bit hard at first, but will get not too bad after a few attempts. So what I did there was super dash JML, but I had to delay the super dash, the JM, and the JL. Thankfully though, the delays on JM and JL are pretty lenient because JL has a lot of hit stun, a big hitbox, and comes out very fast. For the same reason, you can also just normal jump after JML into another JL. You do not have to dash jump. No dash jumps there. Just figure out the delays and it won't be too difficult, trust me. Something that might help you is to fast fall a bit after the super dash, because after your super dash, you can do the same things you could do after super jump, which are to float so that you fall slower, and to fast fall so that you fall a bit faster. So you can fast fall after the super dash and hit the JM a little lower to the ground, which might make the delay on JL a little more lenient for you. See for yourself if it helps. Majin 21, she can already do the JM rejump, but she has a more optimal way to do it if you're willing to invest time into learning it. There you have it. So that looked pretty crazy, didn't it? What I did was 5H, delay my super dash, and then immediately JM without an air dash. So JM, delay JH, and then dash jump j.MH to H. You have to delay your super dash as much as you can. And also delay the JH as much as you can. It's a little tricky to do, but it can result in significantly more damage and corner carry than a JM rejump. If you're planning on maining this character or something, I think this is worth learning. She can also do an easier version of this in the corner, which removes the need to do a dash jump JM, and she can instead just normal jump JL. She still needs to delay her super dash as well as the JH slightly, but those delays become a little more lenient. And of course, the removal of the dash jump just makes things easier all around. This is possible because JL is just a faster button and reaches higher up. Unfortunately though, this is not optimal for her corner combos. It's still gonna make for a decent combo if you're not willing to go that much further though. Vegito can also do this particular rejump, and it actually is optimal for his corner and near corner routes. There you have it. For what it's worth, Piccolo can also do the j.M.H rejump in the corner, but I'm pretty sure it's not optimal for him at all. Before I go into his unique rejump, I want to mention that Vegeta Blue's JM rejump is a bit harder for him than for other characters. Because you need to essentially be able to treat 669 JL as a single input. You need to be able to do the dash jump very quickly, pretty much immediately after pressing JM. So just a heads up in case you plan on learning the rejump with him. Just like 16, Vegeta Blue can also rejump off his Ssjku-esque, and is just as useful for him as it is for 16. The only difference is that the rejump itself for Gogeta is air dash JM dash jump JL, just like his 5H rejump. But it at least doesn't have the weird issue where the super dash timing differs based on the size of the character. So if you're gonna learn this, have fun with it because it's gonna come in handy a lot. Useful thing to note, Gogeta's rejumps become easier in the corner. Instead of 669 JL, all you need to do is just 5M. So just air dash JM 5M. You do need to super jump after 5M though, so keep that in mind. This can help improve your combo game a little bit and maybe create more optimal routes. While Cooler can do the JM rejump, he cannot do it after 5H. He instead has to do it after 6H. And from there is just the usual quote-unquote universal rejump. 66JM, 669JL. Cooler has a better rejump though in this. Remember to air dash JM 2H after the super dash. For this combo you need to specifically do 2M 5M 6H 5S. Because if you do 5M 2M, the 5S will put the opponent too high for the 5M to connect. So in cases where you do 5M 2M, just omit the 5S. Just super dash right after the 6H and you'll be fine. The damage difference will be minimal. Cooler can also do a rejump after his smashless 5H in the corner. This allows his optimal corner combo to exist. Bardock has 2 rejumps, so we're gonna go over the more practical one first. So just 2M, 5M, JM, J236M, and then do an air dash JM. The first hit of JM should always whiff, and of course the second one should always hit. The hardest part about this combo really is figuring out the timing for the air dash after J236M, but after that, just JM and then run up 5L and go from there. It's not very difficult. His second, less practical and probably even less optimal rejump is off of 5H. So I did super dash into air dash JML and then normal jump JL. The difficult part about this is delaying the super dash properly because the super dash needs to hit at the latest time possible, like right before the opponent hits the ground, so it's much stricter compared to other rejumps. I would not recommend doing this one. Kefla also has an even more difficult version of this rejump, which I also wouldn't really recommend doing. But if you want to like take this character as far as you can and have the execution for it, go ahead and learn it. Just make sure you're able to dash jump after JL. Baseku can already do the quote-unquote universal JM rejump. However, he has a much better rejump that I suggest you learn if you're gonna play him. So what you need to do is delay your super dash as you would for a JM rejump, but instead of 66 JM, you do air dash JL and then a delayed JS. After that you should be able to do 2M5H into 2SS, and you have 2 options from there. You can end in 2SSS to safely get a small bomb charge, like this, and you're still able to go for Oki. However, I only recommend doing this if you have reached the corner with your 2SS, because mid-screen you still get no Oki and you lose out on a ton of damage and corner carry otherwise. The second option I showcased earlier, where you do 2SS into upward beam. But unfortunately this has a chance of whiffing. There are 2 ways to work around this. One is easy and one is hard. The easy way would be to just do 1 2S before the beam. This will work consistently at any time. In return, however, you lose a little bit of damage and meter. The hard way would be to delay the 5H and the beam after the rejump. So there you have it. If you need a slightly easier alternative, Baseku can do this. Corner carry isn't an issue because you still go like 90% of the screen and you gain pretty much the same amount of meter. However, you lose out on a lot of damage, so only do this if you can't get j.LH Ssjku. It's still better than the the JM rejump. There's also a better variation of the same combo. So now you're only like 100 damage away from a j.LH rejump combo damage. You just float a little bit, you fast fall a little bit after the super dash, do a delayed JM and then a delayed JS into run up 5LLL. You might find this harder or you might find this easier than just 6-6 JL delay JS. So experiment with it. If you want to fast fall after super dash, you should hold 3 and never chew, because if you hold chew, this happens. You get J.M. and we don't want that, so make sure you hold 3 to fast fall. Just like that. It's also technically possible to do j.MS into Ssjku, but I find it very impractical. Yes, that was a very cursed side switch. You can stay same side if you don't delay the 5H after the rejump. I don't recommend doing this combo personally, but again, you might find it easier than I do, so experiment. All of those rejumps also work in the corner and are actually the cornerstone of Baseku's corner combos. See what I did there? So there's a pretty optimal corner combo for you, involving 2 whole rejumps. Have fun. If you want an easier corner combo, I'm gonna include it here because it's technically a sort of rejump and I like Baseku, so here you go. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Man, his rejump took me a long time to learn when I first tried it, so I hope you'll have better luck than me on this one. So what the hell did I do there? Note that this rejump will not work if you do Ssjku 5M6H. As you can see. Even if you like super jump JM there, you're just left too high up. So what you need to do if you do Ssjku 5M, forget the 6H and just go straight into JM. And then it'll work. First of all, you're gonna need to figure out the timing for air dashing after J236M as fast as possible. I had a lot of trouble with that personally, but honestly you might not. I just had a case of skill issue-itis at a time. But anyway, after your air dash, you need to delay your upcoming JM as much as possible until you're very close to the ground, because if you don't do that, it's just going to miss. It's just after the delayed JM, you can 6H as long as you delayed the JM enough. And then after 6H, you can just normal jump into JL just like that. Or you can super jump JL or super jump JM like I do. This rejump also works in the corner, and instead of air dashing, you literally just wait here. So it's a bit easier, but this rejump is not optimal in the corner. I suggest you only do it if you want to go for an ender like Ssjku-esque there. To compare them just because the rejump will do 5362, whereas the corner optimal will do 54% if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there's your proof in case you needed it. Even then, there is a more optimal variation of the rejump in the corner, which allows you to still deal great damage and still have Ssjku-esque Oki. Which by the way gives you fuzzy mix. Happy chew touching. So there you have it. If you happen to start with Ssjku-M5M6H, do j.LH instead of j.LH. So this is what you want to do. And upscale starters after Super Dash, instead of j.LM, only do jm into 236am. DBS Broly has like 3 ways to rejump, and I'm going to go over all because I love this character. First and easiest way to rejump with him would be to go into 236H, and then 6H, and do that. So after 6H I did Super Dash, Air Dash JM, Ssju-L. No delays whatsoever. You then Super Jump cancel into other air normals, but you don't have to do the Super Jump manually, you just need to hold down Super Dash throughout the entire rejump, and the macro will just Super Jump for you when you press up. This also works in the corner. This rejump is unfortunately not very high reward, because you get better damage and corner carry by just doing this. But now, we're about to go into rejumps that actually add on a lot of fucking damage, so get ready. This one's gonna be harder, but worth it if you manage to learn it. 6H. So yeah, that was a j.LH Ssju-L link. A practical one at that. After Super Dash, delay your JL until Broly starts to fall to the ground. It's a bit of an instinctive timing thing, you just kind of figure it out yourself the more you do it. I thankfully caught on to it quickly, so I hope you will too. But you delay the JL until Broly kinda starts to fall a little bit, and then you do j.LH Ssju-L with no delays whatsoever. From there you can go into more grounded normals and then eventually into air normals, and it's just gonna be big damage. Now for his most difficult rejump, which is only doable in the corner. Huge damage because that's what this character does. This should be your bread and butter in the corner if you're gonna play this character. I may have said that this is his hardest rejump, but even then, it's actually not that complicated. Because all you need to do is delay your super jump after 5LL until you see the green ball explode. So just like that. Only input the super jump after you see the explosion happen. It's a pretty lenient timing cue. And then you do every other input with no delays whatsoever. The inputs should be on screen. He has 2 ways to end this combo. He can either go for big damage, or he can go for bigger damage. So this is the big damage ender, which gives him a solo knockdown. And the bigger damage ender is the one that I showed off earlier. Scaled off of starters like say JM, the best he can do at the end is this, for solo knockdown. Like j.LH Ssju-L 5L grab. And if you want the big damage scaled, you jump cancel 5L into everything else. Because otherwise the combo will just drop. Oh, wait a minute, did I say 3? Sorry, I meant 4. He has 4 ways to rejump. So there you have it. In the corner, after a 236H, he can do 6M if you... There we go. You can do 6M 2L, super jump cancel into air normals, and from there, it's the same combo as the previous one, except it just does more damage. Because of course this fucker needs a way to deal more damage. Wait, what? 4? What do you mean? I said 5. He has 5 ways to rejump. Let me show ya. There you go. So after an aerial J236H, what you need to do is air dash JL as quickly as possible, and then input 2L, and then super jump cancel off it. So just IAD JL, 2L, and then super jump cancel into air normals. The timing for the IAD JL might be a bit weird at first, but I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. An easier way to do this would be to just not do the IAD JL at all, and instead just run up 2L. This also gives you the option to side switch, which can come in handy at some point. As you can see here. 5? Nope. You guessed wrong, my friend. He has, in fact, 6 ways to rejump. Here. 6 fucking ways to rejump. For real, for real. This one's gonna be a bit of a toughie. You can only do it off 2H or Dragon Rush in the corner. So what did I do there? I just did JML S, floated forward, timed the JM, and then did 2L and super jump cancelled it into other air normals. That's how you do it. Timing the JM correctly after floating might be a bit hard, so you can use JL instead. It comes out quicker, so the timing for it might be a little easier for you. Moving on to Beerus. Beerus rejumps are quite easy, but they require you to have half a bar at hand. So this would be the first one. Easy as that. So all you really need to do is just use J236H and hold down while doing it so that Beerus kicks the opponent downwards, and then you can just chew M. It's not very complicated. That's about the gist of it. Another way he can rejump is by using J214H like this. After using J214H, he can no longer get solo knockdown, so you have to rely on assists for that. You also need to preserve an air action before the J214H because you need to air dash after it. You just air dash JM and then 5L into whatever else you want. Also quite simple. Now for his little corner rejump. I think this is considered his bread and butter now. So there you have it. You do 236M and then 2N 5H 5S 2 on 4L, and then you time an air dash. The timing for the air dash after 2 on 4L can be a bit confusing at first, and it's easy to do it too late or for it to just not come out at all, so you're going to need to practice it for a bit, but I'm sure you can get it down. After the air dash you just do JLM and then 5H super dash into whatever else you want. You also don't have H though. You can also just go straight into JL. A weird little buff that he got last patch was being able to do 5S twice in combos, so he can kinda do this now. For just a smidge more damage. You need to delay the 5H after the first 5S or the opponent will be too high up for the 2-on-4M to hit. Janemba can already do a 5H JM rejump. However, he also has a metered rejump available to him that does more damage. If you so wish, you can omit the IAD JM and just go straight into 5L. It's easier, but it's going to cost you some damage. This is also possible to do off of auto combo. However, the timing is a bit jankier. Let me give it a shot here. Yeah, it's pretty difficult because of the 5H, the j.LH smashing, but it is possible. Now for Videl, who has rejumps for days. Rejump number 1. Simple as that. 5H super dash into a slightly delayed JM, and then H, and then 2H, and then jump cancel into whatever. You only delay the JM a tiny bit, because if you delay it too much, you'll end up too low for the J2H to come out. So just the tiniest bits. Rejump number 2, slightly harder variation of the first one. There you go. So same rules as the first one, except instead of landing after the first J2H, you jump cancel it again immediately into a slightly, very slightly delayed JM, and then j.LH 2H, land, jump cancel, and go from there. Rejump number 3 for the corner. Flop. So what I did after 5H was just super dash, JM, JM, and then a heavily delayed JL into JH, and then a slightly delayed J2H, because if I don't delay the J2H, it sends the opponent too high up. You may have noticed by now that yes, Videl combos have a lot of delays in them, especially slight delays. Rejump number 4, harder corner rejump. A lot to uncover in that one. So I did super dash 4LLH2H and then landed and jumped forward doing a heavily delayed JM and then H2H, and then jump cancelled that into a JM and then a heavily delayed JL H2H super dash air combo. This character kinda exhausts me. Note that this combo will not work scaled unless you cut out a lot of your grounded normals, kinda like this. It's gonna be a bit harder to hit confirm if you're gonna do my combo there, but I also want to mention that I'm not even entirely sure if these rejumps that I've shown off are really even optimal, because I haven't looked at resources for this character very much, so there might be actually better combos out there than what I'm presenting you with. I suggest you take these more as a sort of challenge for your execution to see if you have what it takes to learn her actual optimal stuff. Rejump number 5, a slightly easier version of the previous one that works off any starter. I only now figured this out. Super dash 4LLH2H, you land and then super jump into JLM and then a heavily delayed JL H and then a delayed J2H, and then you super jump back up and continue with your air combo. Next up is Goku Black's dive kick rejump, which is his only practical one. There you have it. What you need to do after the EX dive kick is immediately air dash j.LH and then 5M. The 5M will be weirdly spaced out so that you can only really JM after it. But after the JM, you can do a heavily delayed JL into 2H and then continue your combo from there. Nothing else works. The timing for the 5M can also get a bit wonky sometimes. As you can see, it's really spaced out and wonky, so you have to delay your JL as much as you can. Because Goku Black's EX dive kick already lets you have a solo knockdown meterless by just super dashing after it, and because it still provides plenty of corner carry, I don't really recommend doing the 5M rejump all that much with like a couple of exceptions. You can make it a little easier on yourself by just doing JMLL instead of JML2H. Sacrifices a little damage, but it's easier, so I'd probably advise doing this more. Seeing as that's probably the most damage Goku Black can do mid-screen, the only reason that I see for using that rejump is for squeezing out every bit of damage you can. Otherwise, I would honestly just stick to basic stuff. It's Krillin time. To be honest, I don't play this character at all, and I only know like one rejump because I lapped something that I saw in a video where he was played once. So I guess, give this a shot. That actually has a surprising amount of corner carry. That's pretty nice. So I delayed my super dash, and then once the super dash hit, I did JS and I started holding forward. I tapped S twice, and then I timed a 5M, and then just jump cancelled and continued with my air combo. I'm sorry Krillin mains, I do not know shit about your character. Feel free to leave more rejumps in the comments. Vegeta Blue has a bit of a unique way of comboing from his JM rejump, and I think it's worth mentioning here. He cannot super dash after it unless he does that specific combo. Trunks can already do the 5H JM rejump. However, if he's close enough to the corner, he can go for a higher damage alternative by spending a little meter. He also has the option to do this for some godforsaken reason. So that's a thing. And now finally it's time to cover Sparking rejumps. Some characters in this game cannot do a JM rejump normally, but for some reason they can while in Sparking. 17 is one of them. The thing about 17 though is that he doesn't really need it because he has a better rejump than Sparking. Keep in mind that the delay on JM after JS is pretty massive. However, it's the only delay in the combo. You can also use 5M instead of 5L to side switch. Just like that. Another example of a character that can only do a JM rejump in Sparking is Hit. Just like that. That's a pretty decent chunk of damage. I personally find these kinds of rejumps impractical because they've got the Bardock rejump syndrome, as in, you need to delay your super dash for them as much as humanly possible in order for them to work. I also unfortunately don't know every character who has a JM rejump like this that's only possible in Sparking, but I'm sure there are other videos covering those specifically. So let's move on to Sparking specific, character specific rejumps. Base Goku and Super Saiyan Goku already have rejump vanish confirms of their projectiles. Kinda like that. And Super Saiyan Goku instead can do this. However, in Sparking they get some more unique confirms. In Sparking, Base Goku can confirm his beam like this. So just empty vanish j.MS and then air dash j.MS. You don't have to delay anything here, it just automatically works. And it just gives you a full combo off a beam. It's pretty good. Super Saiyan Goku also has a similar vanish confirm in Sparking. Just like that. You just empty vanish JS and then air dash j.MS into 5M, Ssjku S. While holding down the S button, you jump up and JL. Because remember, holding down S gives you a super jump. He can go a little further with this though, because if he delays the JM and the JS after the air dash just a smidge, he can get a much better conversion. Similarly, Base Goku can also do Sparking loops off of this. And get a lot more damage. The Gokus are able to do those loops raw if they want to as well. Just like that. Or like this. And you get a lot of damage and meter build off them. Bardock can also kinda do Ssjku sweeps. But it's a little bit harder for him. As a vanish confirm, Bardock can just do the same thing Super Saiyan Goku does. Friendly reminder that Bardock does have consistent Sparking loops though. There you have it. The key to both Ssjku and Baseku Sparking loops is delaying the ki blasts as much as you can. That's about all I can tell you. For Bardock Sparking loops, you need to delay every Ssjku that you do, because if you don't delay it, the opponent won't be sent as high up and you won't have enough time to hit your instant air dash JMs. Also, after every IAD JM, you need to immediately do j.LH, because if you don't, both hits of IAD JM will come out and you don't really want that. Broly gets a much better rejump while in Sparking mid-screen. So essentially what I did there was delay my super dash as usual, just JS and then air dash JM, and then 5L. After 5L you can do a delayed 5LL and then 5M. If you don't delay your 5LL, it will not hit. Also as a bonus, an Oki setup for Broly players, because not everyone knows about it for some reason. That is a meaty 2-3-6S, just J214L, Vanish, J2H, level 3, and then just 2-3-6S, and the ball will hit meaty, will allow you to combo, and will be safe against reversals. But yeah, that's the rejump. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta also has a sort of unique Sparking rejump, though it's more like just loops. So he essentially just does that over and over again. you need to delay the 6H follow-up specifically. You need to delay it, and the more loops you do, the more you need to delay it and the tighter the delay will be. So I personally recommend you only do 1 rep of those loops and then kinda combo from there as usual, because it's still gonna give you a lot of damage, and I'm fairly sure you can get like 4 bars for that alone. Labcoat also has some similar mid-screen loops, though they're a lot easier. And just go from there. Do that as many times as you'd like. It's not hard. Now, I don't play Labcoat very much, so I'm not entirely sure how these corner loops work, but I know that she has some corner loops involving j.LH, so I kinda tried to figure it out myself, and maybe it's something like this. I mean, it works. So it's something. It's probably not like her more optimal loops, but maybe you can figure something else out yourself, or you can find the actual optimal combo. I've done the best I could here. Some UI Goku mid-screen loops that I have found would be these. Unsure how optimal they are, but they exist. UI can also loop 5S in the corner. How optimal this is, I once again do not know. In the corner, Kefla can loop IAD JM 5H to like no end. And that's gonna be a lot of damage. It's pretty easy, it's convenient, it does damage, it builds meter, it's pretty damn good, and it's used a lot in her TODs, so worth learning. This was the best I could find for cooler. There might be more optimal loops though. For these loops, your starter has to be 2M 5M 6H 5S. If you do 5M 2M instead, you'll only be able to do 1 rep because the opponent will be too high up. 16 also has mid-screen loops in Spark. That's how it's done. All you need to remember for these is to delay the 2M slightly. Super Vegeta also has a little bit of a sparking rejump. And you go from there. So delay super dash into JS and then air dash delay JM 5M, and you go from there. And lastly, a forbidden mention, because I cannot fucking do this for my life. Blueku does have mid-screen sparking loops, however they are incredibly difficult. They look something like that. And then you're supposed to like somehow get JL after that. They are very hard and I can't for my life figure out how to do them. This is coming from someone who can do Blueku's most advanced shoulder loops. So like, I don't know man, you can probably find a different video on those. And that was every practical rejump in the game that I know of, including sparking rejumps and sparking loops. I hope that you've learned something interesting from this video, and that whatever you're gonna try and lab from it, you'll get it down quickly. See you next time. Take care.